Wawanui for another energy balancing session. My video is kind of lagging today. It looks like I might be having another challenging time. Oh dear, I hope my Wi-Fi holds for this. Okay, this may be very, very short. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of my stuff. So we're actually going to get started over here on Lemurian technology and one of my absolute favorite beaches. This is actually not too far from where I live. And so this is Cannon Beach, Indian Beach at Cannon Beach. And so we're actually going to get started with some Lemurian technology. And by that, I mean some Lemurian light languaging. And so, sure. Okay. So I'm going to hang loose for just a few more minutes and we'll see if anybody comes in. But basically what I have is I've got a few minutes today, and so what I thought I would do for everybody is just allow people to come in and ask some questions, but I'm definitely going to be doing some energy healing, or it's also called energy balancing. Let me get some of my screens sorted out here while I'm hanging loose waiting for people. And I am sorry that I have been very hit or miss. I know previously I was pretty consistent with being on here, and so I'm trying to do at least twice a week as much as I can. And so the energy balancing that I'm going to be doing today is meridian based. And so when I'm going through this, it's very much the same as if you were to have like an acupuncture session. And what that means is we will be going over, or I will be going over all of your meridians and getting the channels of the meridians nice and free and clear. And all meridians means is they are rivers of energy that flow in and around your body. And so as I do this, it is for critters as well as people. And so you're going to find that your pets are probably going to come in and start being nice and cozy, comfortable, as well as we sit here and chat. So I'm going to go back over to, let's do some quick Lemurian technology. And this is on the Oregon coast. Now, Indian Beach is one of those at Cannon Beach. Indian Beach is one of those that is kind of a hike in from the highway. And anybody that ever saw Point Break, there we go. In the 1990s, that was with Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. The last of the filming scene on that was actually done here at Indian Beach. It was a substitute for the beach that they had done in the movie itself, which is kind of cool. And anyways, so this is the Pacific Ocean. Of course, this is Oregon coast. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do some Lemurian light codes. And so this is going to get everybody here and on a replay, energetically speaking, on the same page. Ti mori hora mahaka watahi iti ingawa te to iri te o wana wayu tapu kita iti ingawa ta finui trarani te kitau wayu tapu kita iti ingawa te faya tamatua te tama wayu tapu kita ti mori ora u a e te I a u pe o e. Il ai hakata toro papote hituma kakima kakika naro hawatu takima takika taitu tehu upo. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll probably come back to a little bit more of the Lemurian technology when I have more people in here. And so what I thought I would do today is the regular energy balancing. And as you can see, of course, it's going to work for our kitty friends. It's also going to work for any of your livestock, so horses or puppies. And so what I'm going to do, if you are sensitive to energy, I'm going to be reaching out and I'm going to be saying Basically, where I'm working right now, it's at the base of the skull where it joins the neck. And the only reason why I'm mentioning it is because those people that are sensitive to energy, you'll be able to feel me in and around the body as I'm working through the meridians. And sometimes it can feel really weird. So I'm just going to go ahead and state where I am. And if you do not feel anything, don't worry about that, because what's going to happen is your meridians will go ahead and pick up and resonate with what I'm putting out there energetically speaking. And so it's just going to automatically follow that as I go along. It looks like this might not have been my best day for picking best day or time, I guess, for doing this. Unfortunately, I've been having to catch these shows as I can. I'm going to be attempting to come back on Sunday for another reading. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm on the left shoulder at the moment. Looks like this might not have been the greatest time and space to actually be on here for everybody, but I had just a little bit of time freed. So just get in here, and I'm working on the shoulder blade right now. There are several meridians that run over the top of the shoulder blade, so all along the scapula, and it's also going to run underneath the scapula on humans, and of course our critter friends. And then there's some spaces that are underneath the shoulder blade as well. So it's in between the shoulder blade and on top of the rib cage. And humans, we love to shove things under the carpet. So if you're in an emotionally charged state, a lot of times you'll find your shoulders coming up towards your ears. And that's because you've shoved things underneath your shoulder blades, emotionally speaking. So now we're on the left arm, on the ball joint, and going down the left arm. So basically what we're doing is just cleaning and clearing that. There we go. We're going to go for the elbow. And the lovely thing is this is a universal for all of our critter friends, and humans are critters too. And now we're on the left forearm. The meridians I discovered, oh golly, I think that was back in 2003 that I first learned hands-on Shiatsu for horse and rider. And that opened my eyes. I had wanted to do the massage for the horses since the 1980s. And at the time, it didn't exist. The modality was still yet to be created. So in the 1980s, you began seeing on the East Coast some of the first horsemen that were coming in, and they were combining the massage from the humans. And the Shiatsu was coming in, of course, at that same time. And so they began working on some of the athletes. And so it's been a long time coming. So in 2003, I certified for horse and rider hands-on. And then in 2008, my heart horse came along. And we're currently on the left wrist and the outer hand. And my heart horse, Galahad, and I discovered, because one of the things that I began getting really upset with is because the horses that seemed to need me the most with the hands-on, they were hours away. I mean, like, there was one pony that I worked on, and she was literally a 5-hour drive one way from my home. It was getting ridiculous. I mean, it was almost like I was going to have to charter an airplane or something to reach all these poor animals in need. And so with Galahad, what I discovered was I jumped off the page with it. And so we're on the interior of the hand now. And we played a game of how far away from you can I be without touching and still affect your meridians. And I discovered pretty much what every other energy worker does, is that you can literally reach hours away, thousands of miles away, literally anywhere around the planet. And eventually, that's the business model that I started to go and lean into. And it was amazing. I love being able to reach any of the animals in need. It's coming up through the inner arm, on the left-hand side and coming in through underneath the armpit and to the chest. And now we're going to pick up where we were underneath the left shoulder blade, and I'm hoping that my internet will continue to hold today. It's a little bit of a challenging internet day, so I'm sincerely hoping that my sound is actually working as well. So it looks like this is going to be one of those days when people just really are not going to catch me live, unfortunately. I think apparently Friday afternoons is a really poor time for me to try this, which doesn't surprise me. But I think tomorrow is going to be more of a scramble for us here. So, of course, I'll be back on Sunday. I intend to come back on Sunday for our Lemurian Oracle card reads. And so now we're on the spine itself. It's called the governing vessel. So we're coming down through the lumbars to the hip, and then through the hip on the left-hand side and the croup. And so what you may be finding with your animal friends or with you is that this may make you sleepy. You may see yawning. Sometimes you'll see things like sneezes. Sometimes your eyes will run. Coughing can happen. And what this is energy releases, things that have been released physically in the body. And so afterwards, our animal friends are usually pretty good about getting up and going and get themselves a drink afterwards. So that'll happen naturally for them. But if you've done any of the above symptoms or signs, be sure to get yourself a drink of water afterwards. Doesn't have to be a large amount, but a good 4 to 6 ounces would be nice. So half a teacup. And we're currently on the outer left hip and left thigh. And the reason for that is because you'll want to flush all of that out of your body. And if you have fallen asleep during this, don't worry, you can come back and pick this up later. And a lot of times what happens with the sleepiness is your conscious mind is getting out of the way while your energy body, and that's what we're working on today, while your energy body is being rebalanced. Now we're at the outer left knee and headed down the outer left calf. Just going to put a little bit of extra energy around the knee itself. Sometimes we're going to end up with arthritic changes in the joints, and the energy support is very helpful, especially if you've got an older pet or if you've been through injuries yourself. And we're going for the outer left ankle. Heel. Arch. Ball of the foot and the outer 2 toes. I'm going to ground that into Mother Earth. And now we're going to come up the inner left foot, coming up through the inner 2 toes on the left-hand side. Ball of the foot, left-hand side. And don't worry, we'll be mirroring this on the right-hand side. Go over absolutely everything for you. Good. Up through the inner ankle. Now on the critters, that's going to be the inner hock. This will also work for your bird friends. You can also find it, it will work for smaller animals too, so any of your pets. Even some of your reptiles will enjoy this. I've had fish respond. Birds. Up the left calf, and we're aiming for the inner left knee. And again, the reason that I'm mentioning it, if you're not feeling it, don't worry about it, because you don't have to actually feel anything for this to work. And for anybody that's watching on the replay, you are very much included in this. The energies that are going to be in this are embedded, are timeless. And so you can come back and rewatch this as many times as you like. Coming up through the inner left. Hello, Leah. How are you today? Lovely to see you, my dear. I just got started on the energy healing, so I'm about part way through, about the halfway point on the energy healing. But feel free to hop in here. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it was really nice. I don't think I'm in a very good pocket for people as far as the timing and everything, but lovely to see you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was one I was going to mention too for anybody that's still doing it. Double check your subscriptions. I know YouTube is changing the algorithms rules, but you'll want to make sure that you're subscribed because that will help you to get notifications when I'm going on these lives. Because right now I'm not being very consistent. I've just having to grab and do my lives as I can right now. So this will at least help you to catch them live. But as I said too, if you come back and you do this, um, it'll be live on the replay as well. Oh, I have a new kitty and he's finally settled in. How beautiful. Oh, that's wonderful, Leah. I'm so glad for you. Our cosmic kitties. I always say that our dogs help us to ground with our lower chakras, and then our cats appear when we're doing ascension work. So they're usually for the upper chakras, heart and higher. And so now we're going to start on the right hand side. Wonderful. And then we're going to go up to the base of the skull, the right hand side. And we're going to work down through the neck and the base of the skull. Now with people, if you have trouble with like you've got a neck ache or if you've got like a migraine or something coming on, try lifting your chin up just a little bit so that your jawline is parallel to the floor. A lot of times we do so much work looking down, and by just looking up slightly, not have to go very high, just like I said, so that your jaw is parallel to the floor, just lift your chin up a little bit. That will allow some space for the muscling at the back of the neck to relax. And sometimes that can help with headaches. You'll get like the eye ache thing, and a lot of it is because the muscles are being pulled at the back of the neck. And right now we're at the right shoulder, top of the shoulder, and we're going to be working on the shoulder blade on the right-hand side. And for those people who are watching and you've got pets nearby, it's something that happens a lot with me whenever I'm working with the critters. Guard your phone. Sometimes they will climb on top of the people that are holding the phone. And they can sometimes be a little obsessed with the phone. It doesn't happen all the time, but yeah, I have quite a few pets that try to take over. And one of my favorites is whenever the dog sits on top of people's heads. Sometimes they'll start bringing toys over to the phone. So now we're on the right-hand shoulder. And again, it's just like the left-hand shoulder. As humans, we tend to stuff a lot of junk, emotional junk that doesn't belong to us underneath our shoulder blades. It's like we sweep the dust under the carpet. So we're going to get all that junk out. Wow. Someone did a really quick release there. That was quite a power sneeze you did. Okay. Yeah, I know there's just some that's still behind somebody's shoulder blade, so we're just going to keep moving the energy. And this is what I talk about whenever it's congested or stagnant. Sometimes the energy will get blocked along these meridians. And so what happens is the energy will get kind of like a swamp where it gets pooled up behind that blockage. And so the same thing will happen to the energy and it gets stagnant there. And so we're just releasing that down the arm. So we're going through the top of the shoulder. This is on the right-hand side. And then allowing it to go down the right arm. So I'm on the outside of the right arm. And what will happen in time is as this energy flow gets reestablished, the blood flow a lot of times will come through as well. That's a lot better. And it can take days for the energy to unflow and to reestablish the flow or to unblock. Sometimes what I'll find is if it's a chronic situation, meaning it's been around for a long time, sometimes it'll take several days. The first layer will come off, and if you replay this, then another layer that was underneath can go ahead and clear off as well. So this is all done very gently. At the moment, we're at the right arm, headed for the right elbow. And I do apologize. This looks like it really was an unfortunate time for people. Apparently, they're all quite busy this time of day. But I really wanted to get this out. And so we're at the right elbow, headed down the right forearm. And it is always lovely to see you, Leah. We're going to add a little bit of extra energy to the right elbow. There's a tendon that tracks down that elbow on the outer side of the arm that feels a little sore. Hi, CJ. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got another kitty lover in the house. There we go. Headed down towards the right wrist. Thank you for joining us. Now the outer hand on the right-hand side. And now we're doing ting points, grounding that energy off the hands and into Mother Earth. There it goes. Now we're coming back up the hand, palm of the right hand. Inner wrist, right-hand side. For whoever's doing the coughing, that's another energy release. My right arm or right thumb is locking up. Okay. So let's do some extra energy for the thumb itself. And then up the forearm, on the right-hand side. Just going to add some extra energy in there for you, Leah. Right inner elbow, up the arm. Me trying not to get the flu. Ugh, I know, right? Is very challenging this time of year. So I'm going to be adding in some extra patterns after I've got the initial patterns finished. It's kind of a support pattern for things like respiratory challenges, flus. So we're at the right armpit now. Ooh, that was a good release. Now we're going to go underneath the right hand shoulder blade and the right side of the spine. Across the ribs. There we go. Okay, for anybody that's listening, I'm going to go ahead and throw in right quick just a pattern that I was taught for upper respiratory support. So things like the dreaded C, cold flus. This time of year, of course, there's always that challenge that's happening, especially as we do enter into the holiday season and the stress rises. So let's just get that pattern thrown in here. Wow, that's a lot of congestion. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now it's moving. Now let's continue on to the right hip and the pelvis on the right-hand side. On the critters, that's going to be a croup. Some really big meridians that go back here and across the hip. Beautiful. down the right outer leg to the right knee. And again, we're just going to add some extra support for the knee because I can feel yeah, there's some older horse that's kind of struggling a little bit with the knee. So on a horse, it's a stifle. And it'll be the same with any of our older pets. You know, this time of year, things get colder, your joints get a little stiffer. Same thing with humans. Get a creakiness going there. So we're just going to add some extra energy pillows to that. Juicy, juicy bones, nice and juicy. Just to reverse all of that, we're going to go down the outer right calf and headed for the ankle. There we go. Hock on the horse, heel on the human. And of course, it'll also be the hock on our kitties and our puppies. Outer right side of the foot, right foot, outer edge, outer 2 toes, 3 toes. There it goes. Okay, we're going to do ting points right quick into Mother Earth. And now we're going to come up the right-hand side. Actually, let me place some extra energy around, in and around your feet. Someone's been doing a lot of walking. So let's do some support for the ankles and the feet themselves. Kind of like so you'll be walking around on little pillows of energy. There we go. Nice thing too is if I place those, the body seems to be able to use those later on. Coming up the inner right-hand side of the calf, we're going to be aiming for, we're going to be aiming for the inner knee. And for just a second here, we're going to do a couple of points. If you're sensitive to energy, you might be feeling me holding a point just beneath both knees on the inner side. This is primarily for humans. This is a spleen point. Just get some of that congestion going there. There we go. That's much better. Inner thighs, midway point. We're just going to pamper and give the spleen energy just a little bit more of a boost today. And then up the midline for that. Spleen's important for things like the for the dietary, it's for the blood sugar. But you're also going to find if you're in indecision, you can't make a decision. You're in wishy-washy energy. Same things for the critters. Sometimes you'll see that they just really feel very anxious, and it can be this as a spleen deficiency. So let's just up this. Tune up and turn up the volume on that. Beautiful. Okay. And now we're going to come up the right thigh and into the lap. And now we're going to work on the abdomen. It's this amazing organ that's called the mesentery. And what that is it looks like webbing, like cobwebbing almost, that holds our organs in place in the abdomen. This is another favorite place for people to stuff our emotions. I mean, let's face it, if you're in a hurry, you're just going to shove and go. And so sometimes we can end up with some trapped energies in and around the organs. So let's just get that nice and balanced. Beautiful. And now we're coming up through the diaphragm. And we're going to come into the lung space. And we're going to just gently support the lung tissue. I know. Quite a few people feel like they've just been doing the coughing as a sport right now. So let's just get that nice and supported, healthy lung tissue. And now we're going to support the heart. There's a sac that's called a pericardium that guards the heart. And there's a space that happens behind the heart and the lung tissue. So let's just fill that up with some imaginary pink light today. You can use white light if you don't like the color pink. Just supporting that space, supporting the heart, supporting the blood flow. Beautiful. And now we're going all the way up through the upper lungs to the clavicles on the inside. Okay. Now we're going to go up to the head space. I usually start off at the base of the neck because it takes people a while to get used to the sensations. If you're sensitive to energy, you may be feeling me touching around your head. So we're going through the top of the head, clearing the space. Beautiful. Through the eyes, bathing the eyes, nice and soothing, all the way through the optic nerve, through the skull and the brain itself, around your ears, soothing the auditory nerves, base of the skull. There's actually a very large sinus cavity that sits at the base of the skull as well. So let's just get that supported. Good. Now we're going to come in through the sinus cavities that are underneath the eyes. This may make your nose run or make you sneeze a little bit, but we're just going to try to get that to flush a little bit. Just get that cleansing. Tops of the teeth. Teeth, gums, bathing in and around all the gums, the upper teeth, upper palate. Beautiful. Well done. Back of the throat, nice and healthy. Gently draining down what needs to be cleansed, but not overdoing it. Eustachian tubes. Back of the throat, hyoid, under the jaw, again another space for the lymph glands to be. Root of the tongue, jaw, gums, teeth. Beautiful. Let's get those ting points on the face. Beautiful. Down the throat. And back to the collarbones. I'm going to do just a little bit around your aura field just to get you a little more supported. Because sometimes we can end up with gunk actually hanging out in the field around us. And everybody knows that you've got this personal space around you. It's like a personal bubble space, and it can vary in size. Some people, it's pretty close in, so maybe 3 feet. Other people have it out a little further, like 5 feet. And then some other people will also be doing 10 feet or more. So let's just get that nice and cleansed. You have a beautiful rest of your afternoon, Leah. Gorgeous. Okay. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Okay. Beautiful. So again, if you've done any yawning, sneezing, coughing, sometimes you can do like an ERP, or you can have tummy rumbles. Any of those are great signs that you've had energy releases. And so just be sure to get yourself a drink of water afterwards. And what that will do will help to flush any of the toxins that have been released into your bloodstream. It flushes it right on out. Yay. we go. Wonderful. Okay. Well, if anybody's hanging out and you have anything extra that you would like me to go ahead and address right now, just go ahead and pop it into the comment section. Oh, that's wonderful, CJ. I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. And that's one too. If you start to feel like you're draggy a little bit later today, you can come back to the replay and replay this to go ahead and re-cleanse that. Sometimes you just have to keep listening to it over and over and over. Oh, you're welcome, Leah. I'm so glad you stopped by. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Now, if anybody's got any requests for their kitties or for puppies, obviously, or anything else that they may need for themselves, feel free to go ahead and pop it into the live chat. And that's one too. If you need, there is in the description box a link to my store at debbiedement.com. So there are more resources in there too, because what I do, I put onto an MP3. And so they are in there as well. And of course, I do one-on-ones as well. So you can always reach out and contact me. But you can always come back to these. We're going to scooch over to the ocean again. Let's look at it. Actually, I really like the kitty this week. Very pretty. So I would love a healing for my thumb. It's getting worse, and I don't want to continue the cortisone. Yeah, that's one. Leah, let me go ahead and send you some extra support. Have you been doing cortisone for a while? Cortisone's great for one of those short-term things, but it can be a little rough on the body. So I'm going to send you out some energy for your kidneys, adrenal glands, and liver. And let's see if there's something that comes up for the thumb. Is it a repetition thing where you're using your hands a lot, like knitting or crocheting or something? Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that too. Like I said, it works great if it's a short-term thing, but long-term, and yep, I use that hand a lot. One of the things I'm going to suggest to you, Leah, is to play around with your body positioning. Sometimes a lot of times what happens is we're using our hands and the rest of our body posturing. And the only reason I'm speaking to this is because I used to be a dog groomer until I blew out my wrist and my hand with repetition. And anybody that's ever done dog grooming, you know that you're not just holding the clippers. The clippers are vibrating. You've got blow dryers that you're holding onto the hoses. And of course, you're holding the feet for the dog. And it uses your hands very intensively. And so when I went in to have help for that, it was an osteopath. And he explained to me it was actually from the body positioning that I had been in, instead of just being a lot of grip work, which doesn't help. He said that it was all emanating from the spine and also from the feet, the body posture especially. And so all I'm suggesting is what you might do at night is you might lay on your back in the bed and then play with different positionings of your feet. One of the quickest, easiest things that you can do for the hands is stand with your toes together and then the heels apart, about half width, hip width, and see if that takes the pressure off of your hand. Because as it was explained to me, is each one of your joints, as you're moving away from the spine itself, it levers out so much pressure. So let's say it's maybe 1 or 2 pounds on your spine. By the time that you do your elbow, that's a good 50 pounds. By the time it's reached the hands, it's 100 pounds. It's just all levered out on there, and it's like small wonder. And so, like you're saying, my right foot is really bad. Play with your feet. See if the body positioning and altering it around can help you. Because sometimes you can get short-term relief. You'll find the pressure on the top of that shoulder will release off. And you can also find that there is a band underneath your right shoulder that will also release, and it will certainly take the pressure off of the right elbow. So I like playing around with different body positions in the bed, because then it allows you the space. Because what's going to happen a lot of times is when your muscles have that space in place, it's kind of like a fluttering sensation. If you're already laying in the bed, it's not like you're going to fall anywhere. And it just allows your muscles that opportunity to just go ahead and relax. And sometimes I've had my spine pop just by doing that sort of a thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Hypnicity. Yeah, I actually did. If you want to re-listen to this after we're done, I went ahead and I did an extra set in there for the cold. There's a pattern in there for C, and for colds, and for upper respiratory. And let me see. Are you in the snot phase, or are you in the cough phase? Hypnicity. Is your head snotted up right now, or is it already into the cough phase? Mine was a little backwards this time. I actually did a lot of coughing, and then it sort of went up into my nose. Cool. Okay, Hypnicity, I'm going to go ahead and work on your head right quick. Yes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do just an extra bit of pattern for the flu, and this will be for, like I said, the dreaded C's. And this is just for entertainment purposes only. This is not to diagnose, treat, or do anything along those lines, but this is simply working with the energy system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a pattern around the head, and then through the head, ears, base of the skull. Now, if you're working specifically for the dreaded C, you'll want to incorporate iodine, and more importantly, you'll want to incorporate zinc if you're actively fighting off COVID. The reason why is because there is a specific mechanism, and so zinc is what you need for that in order to prevent damage from that. Okay, sure. So at the moment, I am up here on the head. We're just going to do, because there's a lot of stuff that's around the head, that's in the aura actually around the head. So let's just get that clear. One of the things you can do too, Hypnicity, is grab hydrogen peroxide. Do not swallow that. You gargle with it only. And a lot of times you'll find that that will help to clear up the sinuses at least a little bit. But you can do a gargle with the hydrogen peroxide 2 or 3 times in a row. You're very welcome. Okay, and I'm going through the base of the skull. Yeah, it went through my sinuses. Strange, but so glad. You're lucky. Yeah, I don't like COVID. It is a pain in the patootie. And in just a second, I'm going to go back over the pattern for the COVID. My acupuncturist, she showed me the pattern to use for that. She was helping to treat people that had long COVID. And of course, it's going to support your regular flus and colds. Still at the top of the skull. It's top of the spine, base of the skull. Just trying to get that loosened up a little bit. But yeah, vitamin C is very helpful. Vitamin Bs are very helpful. Iodine is very helpful. Gargling with hydrogen peroxide is awesome. Again, use extreme caution that you do not ever swallow it. Yeah, hypnicity, consider yourself very lucky because it's terrible. It's kind of like having, well, it's gotten, thankfully, it's mutated over the years. But yeah, the first few batches that I had it back in 2020 was like having barbed wire taken down my throat. It was not fun. But there, like I said, there is a very specific, you mechanically need to have zinc if you are up against regular COVID, because that's the disease mechanism. And zinc never hurts for the other ones. Okay, now we're going to go down the back. Let me go ahead and do the pattern for the long COVID and the colds. If you're sensitive to energy, you may be feeling me on your spine and the mid back, and also at the top of the hips, where the hips join the spine. And it's just this time of year, everybody comes down with a cold, usually. People are stressed, they're traveling, weather conditions, first you're hot, then you're cold. So a lot of times it's pretty easy to have colds get passed around and flus. But we really don't need it, so we can just cleanse and clear this, get the energy systems balanced. We can minimize it. And of course, sleep and rest as much as you can. Yeah, I know. Oh, perfect. There's tea or zinc in my tea. And yes, of course, when the children go back to school. But it's not just the kids. Like I said, a lot of times this time of year, you're out in the cold and then you're coming in and it's warm. And of course, there's the added stress this time of year. People traveling, holidays are coming up. And of course, with the hydrogen peroxide, this was one that I found back in history. Is in 1937, there was a German doctor, and he theorized that the colds were actually entered into the body through the eardrums. So if you've been out and you've been visiting with people, and some people have been studying coffee and everything, you can come home and put a few drops of hydrogen peroxide, allow it to sit in each ear just for a little bit. Doesn't have to be very long, maybe 15 seconds. But what will happen is a lot of times you'll find one ear will foam. Sometimes both ears will foam. And that is the hydrogen peroxide pretty much removing that virus at the eardrum, because he theorized that it came in through the eardrum. And the nice thing about it is it takes just a few seconds to do. If neither ear foams, but you have like that funny, snotty sensations, it's a great diagnosis. At that point, that's actually an allergy. Beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can use. Copper is wonderful. Silver, colloidal silver is another nice one. You can also use garlics. Some people will use onions, just adding a lot of raw onion into your diet, or garlic to your diet. There we go. And of course, resting just as much as you can if you're fighting with something. But yeah, I've always liked the hydrogen peroxide for the ears, because it not only does it actively remove something before it gets really started, but you can also use it as that diagnostic then if you're not sure if you've got a cold or if you've got an allergy, because then you can take the appropriate medication if that's something that you want. There we go. That's much better. Cool. Okay, we're going to go to the other slide for now. Just kind of kick back. Ah, have some coffee and biscuits for our UK friends. Coffee and cookies for those in the US. And of course, our little orb friends. Speaking of orbs, has anybody been having the orbs and the lights going through? My Pixies have been kind of in overdrive lately. It's been fun to watch them. Hmm. That's a great idea, Hypnicity. She's saying I wear the hearing aids and so I'll wipe the tips too. That's a great idea. But yeah, the orbs, like what you can see in this image, it's the little light. They look like little colored lights, but sometimes they'll be even the this white coloring. And at nighttime especially, I'll see them up on the ceiling. A lot of light flashes. A couple of weeks back, and they've been really over the top because they've been moving things, taking things, moving things, returning things. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you turn around and it wasn't there, and then it gets replaced right in front of you, which is only funny after they've actually returned things. Sometimes whenever they've done it, I mean, it can be a real, and in fact, they've walked off with some of my stuff and I still haven't been able to find it. I'm sure they will replace it and it'll be like right in front of me again. But but yeah, a lot of little colored lights. But those I usually see them and they're usually for me a representation of 10th dimensional beings. For the longest time they were working on my energy system. I've seen them less and less, but then they started coming back in again. And I think it might be because we have had such strong solar activities. And so they're coming back in for me to kind of help aid with integrating, I guess you could say, the energy systems. Oh, and that's the other one. I don't know if anybody else has had this, but the audio. I've had a lot of random voices, and it's not. I've lived in places where I've had ghosts. In fact, I've lived in 3 different haunted houses, and the ghosts you can kind of hear, and it sounds like they're having a party, like a dinner party or old-timey music and things, but you can't hear them distinctly, and yet the recent audio that I've been hearing is very distinctive. It's maybe 1 or 2 words. I've had my name called a few times, but it doesn't feel like the ghosts do. The ghosts tend to be, for me, more of a lower frequency. These tend to be a much higher frequency. About the same as what I have whenever I've got my animal friends coming in. Yeah, the tones of my tinnitus are lower lately. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I've had the different tinnitus as well. Well, my ears have been ringing nonstop since 2021, I think. And then, of course, there's sometimes whenever you can hear it in one ear and there's like a different pitch in the other ear. It's just crazy. And then sometimes it'll be ringing, 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 and then all of a sudden it'll just immediately stop. Just kind of wild. Beautiful. All righty, my dears. Well, we're coming up on almost an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and head on out of here and say goodbye. And with luck, I will be back on Sunday to do the oracle card reading for the Lemurian astrology for the week. And hopefully I'll be able to sit around and do a chat for that day too. But thank you so, so much, everybody, for coming in. And I really hope you've enjoyed today's energy healing. And for those that have missed it, you've come in a little bit later, definitely go ahead and go back through the replay and enjoy it. And anytime that you need, you can absolutely keep this even on a very low volume and simply just put it on a repeat, and it will help because it helps with your energy system, keeps it balanced, keeps it running nice and clear. Thank you so, so much for coming in, and yeah, hopefully you'll have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful fun weekend ahead. And with luck, I will see you on Sunday. And if not, you just have a great time. And again, if you want to be notified, go ahead and do the subscription. And then I think it's the notification bell. But because I've been so inconsistent, I've been just grabbing these whenever I can. That'll help you to hop into the lives as I create them now. So, yeah. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Bye.